Electrolysis was discovered by a St. Louis eye surgeon who was looking for a way to cure ingrown eyelashes. What he did in 1860 was he hooked a sewing needle to a chemical battery. The trickle charge of electricity actually rearranges the chemical compounds in the salt water of the sweat and bodily fluids, rearranging that into lye, oxygen, and hydrogen. The oxygen and hydrogen gases bubble up and out of the follicle, leaving the base liquid behind, which basically destroys the germinative growth cells. It's like an acidic response. That would be how regular electrolysis works. In thermolysis, you're actually sending an FM signal into the follicle, which causes vibration in the liquid content of the follicle, which causes it to heat up, and it goes from a liquid to a vapor in an instant. And as a vapor, it shoots up and out, finding its path of escape, and it flash cooks the proteins within the follicle, just like egg white going from liquid to a solid. And you can then lift out the hair along with the full sheath.
I was born intersexed, and so I do a lot of work within an intersex community and the transgendered community. Unfortunately, genetically, I had both chromosomes, so I had facial hair that had to be removed, and there was only one way to do it. I tried laser treatment, which is not really effective. So I did my homework and found out that electrolysis really was the only way to go for permanent hair removal.
I have had very thick, very deep, very curly, dark hairs that were under the surface and that would just coil up and cause all sorts of problems and stuff like that. So I'm glad they're gone for good.
When I started, I don't really remember. The suggestion that I was given was to start with laser and then, do as much of that and then get the stragglers, like whatever was remaining. So I went and did laser like I think 5 or 6 times. It didn't really work all that well.
When I was in high school, I kind of used to tweeze some of the hairs. I had like one hair under my belly button and I tweezed it and it grew back, and all these hairs grew back like crazy. So then I had like 30 hairs like underneath my belly button that were never there to begin with. It like all started from like tweezing one hair.
There are lots of things that people do in an attempt to remove hair permanently. I've not seen anything that can actually stand up to electrolysis. Laser gives you a reduction if you're lucky, and you don't get burned, and you don't get pigmentation, and you don't get white spots or patterns or patchy regrowth. There are chemicals that people try to use which either don't work at all or have some limited success, leaving the person dependent on taking that particular drug for the rest of their life. In general, my trans clients tend to have anywhere from 50,000 to 150,000 hairs removed over the course of 18 months. When we first do our first clearance, generally speaking, we're going to remove 250 to 500 hairs per square inch in that first clearance, and then after that, there's less and less hair to remove each and every time. We typically work over the course of 9 to 18 months, with 18 months being a general estimate as a baseline.
There's a criteria you have to follow, and he tells you that right up front. We go through everything about drinking plenty of water to hydrate yourself, staying away from caffeine, before you're going to have a treatment because caffeine makes it more painful. So he tells you what to do, and then after your treatment, not to put makeup on, and you know, to put the proper, like tea tree oil and aloe, you know, put that on your skin to reduce the inflammation and stuff like that.
I was expecting it to hurt a lot more, because laser was just like unbelievable pain like underneath my nose, and like around my chin was just like unbelievable, and it wasn't nearly as bad. I mean, I've heard people say like, you know, oh, they had to put me like under anesthesia to have electrolysis done, and I'm like, it's not even that close.
The sensation of actually getting the electrolysis treatment is definitely tolerable when you go to someone who knows what they're doing. That's the truth. If you go to someone who is really not that skilled or not properly trained, it can hurt, because I've been to practitioners where, as I said before, it hurt a lot.
I come in, I'm on the table for, 30 to 60 minutes, depending on what's necessary that day. I leave and I carry on with my day as if it was another appointment. It was just a doctor's appointment, you know.
Once you've cleared out a section of your face, and if you had 1,000 hairs in one area, now you only have 500. If it took them an hour to clear 1,000 out, now it's taking them only half an hour. So the time frame that you're underneath his, work gets dramatically cut down as it goes on. And as the hairs come back, they're finer and finer and finer. So the power that he uses to take, the hair, remove the hairs is less and less. So the pain factor really dramatically decreases.
If we were to do the math, the hair growth and the social norms of having facial hair growth as a woman started when I was about 14. So since then, and this is, almost 15 years later, you have the daily shaving and the daily changing of disposable razors, and then you have trips to the dermatologist and experimental topical creams that are not covered by insurance that run about $160 for a small tube. Then you have shaving cream, and then you have the experiments that you do yourself to lighten the scars. I'd say over the last decade, I've put in well over $5,000 to $6,000 just in disposable products that have got me nowhere.
When you're forking out money for a service, I don't want to be paying for marble columns and $5,000 sofas, and I could care less. My money is going for the work that has to be done.
State-of-the-art equipment.
And when you have state-of-the-art equipment, and his technical skills, you put the two together, and you're going to wind up with being very, very happy if you follow everything the way it's supposed to be done.
Sure.
A lot of electrologists don't do it that way. They go the opposite way, and unfortunately, a lot of these people, you're going to be going forever if they can't get the clearance that like James gets. The time that even if you go constantly, time is of the essence, especially for the transgender community.
So this is all the damage of shaving and plucking, and now, hopefully soon, it'll be just as blended and, as the rest of my face is becoming.
The time and effort and money that I've had to put in for the treatment is well worth the results.
I've definitely recommended doing electrolysis to a lot of people, especially just to get like the remaining hairs that you have like around your mouth and your lips, and the damage that can be done to your skin is not nearly as bad as the damage from other treatments like laser or even just plucking.
I know that my hair growth is difficult, but it's always something that I have to keep telling myself that it's genetic. It's not something that I did. It's something that I can control, and electrolysis is a way to do that.